So, Tomi, what led to that bashing on The View?
Well, there is a woman over the weekend who took it upon herself to research my family history in hopes of digging up some kind of a gotcha moment, a gotcha angle to validate illegal immigration and open borders. And what she found was really shocking, guys. She found that my family who came here in the 1800s from Norway and Germany, that they spoke Norwegian and German.
Okay.
And really what she did is prove that my family came here legally, but what she was hoping to do was try to call me a hypocrite for believing in merit-based immigration.
What if I told you The View suddenly turned into a heated family history showdown with a sharp political twist? It honestly felt like a scene pulled straight from a TV drama. Sunny Hostin came at Tomi Lahren with what looked like a hidden file, bringing up her great-great-grandparents' immigration story like it was the ultimate mic drop moment. Big move, Sunny. Really big move. But instead of backing down, Tomi stepped right into it, calm, confident, and completely unfazed. She turned the whole moment around like a seasoned pro. What was supposed to corner her ended up becoming one of those unforgettable live TV twists nobody saw coming.
That immigrants come over here and they don't know anything and they're dragging us down because we all come from immigrants, including you, Tomi Lahren.
She talks about low skills. What exactly are her skills?
Her second great-grandmother had been here for 10 years, yet spoke no English. Oh my gosh. 1930 census says Tomi's 3 times great-grandmother had been here for 41 years and still spoke German. She didn't speak English either. She doesn't even know her own history. She certainly doesn't know this country's history.
So now the big question is, who really ended up getting exposed? Trust me, you have to see this one. At first, everything sounded pretty normal. Just the usual debate over immigration, border policy, legal terms, the kind of back and forth you'd expect. But then, out of nowhere, Sunny pulled out Tomi's family history and tried to use it like some game-changing reveal. As if bringing up her great-great-grandparents not speaking English was supposed to end the whole argument. That's not even a debate anymore. That's daytime television drama dressed up as politics. Sunny looked completely confident too, like she had just uncovered the missing piece to some giant political mystery. All because Tomi's Norwegian relatives from generations ago spoke another language. Come on now. She delivered it like it was the ultimate mic drop moment, but instead, the whole thing bounced right back at her fast. The reaction was instant, awkward, and impossible to ignore. And then Tomi delivered one line that completely stunned the room.
I did with DNA, 23andMe, because I cannot believe the detail on your background that they were able to get.
Well, I don't have to. She did all the research for me, so I'm sure my family is very appreciative.
What about Joy saying, though, what are your skills? It's beyond research. It is personal. It is mean.
Well, of course, this is classical Joy Behar, but I would like to ask Joy Behar what her skills are, because perhaps we could swap stories. I know I watch Joy, and she seems like a highly skilled lady, but for her to attack me, that's really interesting. Those in glass houses should not throw...
What is it about you that bothers them so much? The question was meant to hit hard, but Tomi barely reacted. Calm, steady, completely unfazed. She took Sunny's big gotcha moment and turned it into a full argument about immigration and hard work. Yes, her ancestors didn't speak English at first because they were immigrants from Europe in the 1800s, but according to Tomi, they came legally, followed the rules, and built a life through hard work. Just like that, she flipped the whole moment in her favor. Meanwhile, Sunny suddenly looked like the debate had slipped away from her. The second she brought up Tomi's family history, it fed directly into Tomi's strongest talking points. And of course, the internet exploded right after. Social media turned into complete chaos with memes, arguments, flag emojis, and everyone online suddenly acting like immigration experts overnight.
What is it about you that bothers them so much?
Well, it's not just me, it's anybody who advocates for merit-based immigration or has an issue with open borders. And again, just like you said, they don't seem to understand that we on the right believe in immigration. We understand that we are a nation of immigrants, and I am proud of my heritage. However, I do believe that the immigration crisis of today is apples to oranges from what it was in the 1800s when immigrants came to this country legally, were documented, worked for for themselves, asked for nothing, and built a life and a family. That has nothing to do with the illegal immigration crisis of today that we must deal with. But they don't want to acknowledge that.
And just when the whole thing already felt completely out of control, in stepped Greg Gutfeld, sounding like a stand-up comic stuck inside a political debate. Greg wasted no time jumping in. He grabbed Sonny's ancestry argument and turned it into a full-on primetime roast. With that trademark grin, he joked that maybe digging through someone else's family history isn't the smartest move when your own family tree probably has a few stories too. Then he dropped another line, pointing out that most immigrant families didn't arrive speaking perfect English and carrying a copy of the Constitution either. His jokes landed hard because they highlighted the bigger issue. Once a debate shifts from policy to family history, things get messy fast, and honestly, viewers could see exactly what was happening. At that point, it stopped feeling like a serious immigration discussion and started looking more like political theater with better lighting.
Folks, I have heard a lot of dumb crap come out of blue states, but this one is a real doozy. Get this. As of January 1st, New Jersey teachers will no longer be required to pass a basic literacy test.
Back on The View, the whole thing started falling apart fast. You could almost picture producers backstage praying for a commercial break to save the moment. Meanwhile, viewers at home were probably wondering if they were watching a political debate or reality TV. Sonny tried to make the conversation personal, but somehow the spotlight swung right back onto her. And Tomi, she never flinched. She stayed calm, stuck to her points, and kept repeating the same message. Legal immigration good, emotional attacks bad. Agree with her or not, she stayed disciplined the entire time. Meanwhile, Sonny's argument started losing steam under all the emotion and drama. Then social media exploded. One side crowned Tomi the clear winner, while the other praised Sonny for challenging her directly. And everyone else online just watched the chaos unfold like it was political theater mixed with internet madness. Honestly, the whole thing felt like pure chaos with the TV budget.
I started out at One America News with an 80-something-year-old male boss who called me a bimbo pretty freely. That was a different experience. I went to The Blaze and I worked for Glenn Beck, who I had to end up getting in a lawsuit with because he tried to fire me for saying I was pro-choice when I went on The View. So it's been a different experience at the...
Every time The View tries to tackle a serious issue, it somehow turns into an emotional back and forth instead. Immigration is one of the most complicated topics out there, but the conversation quickly became more about personal attacks than real discussion. Sonny seemed to think bringing up Tomi's ancestors would create a huge viral moment. And yes, it went viral, just not in the way she probably expected. The truth is, she had a chance to make a deeper point. She could have talked about how immigration stories are different for every family, or how speaking English doesn't define someone's worth. That could have actually connected with people. But instead, the focus shifted toward chasing a dramatic moment for TV, and the internet reacted exactly how you'd expect, with social media exploding into endless arguments, memes, and non-stop hot takes from every direction.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions? Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist.
And the wildest part was that Tomi never even had to get aggressive. She stayed calm the whole time, while Sonny's argument slowly fell apart on its own. No shouting, no dramatic comeback, just a smooth shift back to her usual points about legal immigration, hard work, and the American dream. By the time the show went to commercial, the tension in the studio was impossible to miss. Because when your big attack ends up making your opponent look stronger, things clearly didn't go as planned. But honestly, the moment said something bigger about modern political debates. Serious issues like immigration often turn into emotional clashes instead of real conversations. And once family history becomes part of the argument, the discussion usually stops being productive. Immigration is complicated, personal, and deeply human. Turning it into a TV-style mic drop moment just adds more heat instead of real understanding.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe. Here's how she took the...
And just when it seemed like the drama was finally over, the fallout exploded online. Suddenly, everyone with a social media account became a political expert overnight. Some people praised Sunny for speaking her mind, while others argued she went way too far by bringing family history into the debate. Meanwhile, Tomi played it smart. She leaned into the attention, posted patriotic memes, did interviews, and turned the whole moment into a major boost for her own image. And then came Greg Gutfeld, who wasted absolutely no time jumping into the chaos. He treated the entire situation like prime roast material, mocking the idea of using someone's ancestry as a political attack while ignoring how complicated everyone's family history usually is. With his usual sarcasm, he turned Sunny's big moment into another round of late-night style comedy and criticism.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
He joked that Sunny's argument was like throwing rocks in a glass house without looking around first. Then came the bigger point. Gutfeld highlighted the irony of someone who talks so much about compassion suddenly using a person's ancestors as a political attack. That twist caught fire online almost instantly. Clips spread everywhere, memes exploded, and the whole debate turned into another internet roast session. Gutfeld even summed it up with one brutal line, saying the view was starting to feel less like a policy discussion and more like political theater built around family history. And honestly, a lot of viewers were left wondering how a conversation about border policy somehow turned into an argument about relatives from the 1800s. That's the strange reality of modern TV politics now. Drama moves faster than facts. Sunny tried to use history to corner Tomi, but instead it gave her the perfect chance to take control of the moment and turn the attention in her favor.
I have a question of my own. Do you lock your doors at home? At your residence, do you have a lock on your door? Do you use that lock?
I do, yeah, I do.
You have an alarm?
And why is that? I mean, you lock your door because you want to know who's coming into your home. It's not because you hate the people outside, it's because you love the people inside. Well, that's what needs to be done with the United States of America. That's why we have a border. We have a right to know who's coming into our country and why. That's what keeps us.
If the roles had been reversed, the backlash probably would have been massive. Headlines everywhere, non-stop outrage online, and social media exploding before the day was even over. But when Sunny made the ancestry argument, many people defended it as context instead of a personal attack. And that's really the bigger problem with modern political TV. The performance often becomes louder than the actual message. Tomi, whether people agree with her or not, walked into a hostile debate, had her family history brought into the spotlight, and still managed to come out stronger with her supporters. Meanwhile, Sunny got support from her usual audience, but a lot of other viewers felt the argument became too personal and distracted from the real issue. The point itself may have mattered, but the delivery buried it under drama. Once again, a serious conversation about immigration turned into political entertainment instead of meaningful discussion. And until that changes, audiences will probably keep watching the chaos unfold, like another episode of reality TV.
Why do you think you've resonated with so many people?
I think, in large part, I represent Middle America. So you've got the two coasts, and those individuals seem to kind of just talk to each other. And then you've got all of Middle America right there that's dying to have a voice. They don't really feel like they have one. They're not represented, you know, beyond their communities. So I think they watch me and they say, well, you know, she speaks like I do. She thinks like I do. She seems to maybe get it like I do. And I think that's why it's resonated. And also, I do something very different. There's not a whole lot of young conservative women out there. And so I provide that for a lot of.
Because honestly, what are people even supposed to do when political debates start sounding like a game of guess the family history? At that point, the real issue gets completely lost. This wasn't really just about Tomi or Sonny anymore. It became a bigger example of how modern political discussions keep turning into emotional clashes instead of real conversations. Serious topics like immigration are now treated more like viral entertainment than actual policy debates. Instead of talking about solutions, everyone seems focused on landing the biggest moment before the next commercial break. The View has slowly become part debate show, part internet spectacle, where every argument feels designed for social media clips. You could almost picture producers and interns already preparing hashtags while the conversation was still happening. By the end, it felt less like thoughtful commentary and more like political reality TV, with Sonny bringing up family history and Tomi calmly firing back with rehearsed talking points ready to go.
Democrats really want to die on the hill of bringing back plane loads of criminal, illegal alien gang members.
But you haven't proven that they're criminals.
Please.
That's the problem.
Be my guest.
Honestly, look, I will be the first one to say if there is a.
And here's the real twist. When one side starts throwing family history into the debate and the other answers with polished talking points about immigration policy, what you end up with isn't understanding, it's pure chaos. Everyone's talking, nobody's actually listening, and the internet eats it up like entertainment. Sonny came in with emotion, Tomi came in with prepared policy arguments. Both probably felt like they won the exchange. But the real issue, how America should actually handle immigration reform, got completely buried under viral clips, angry posts, and non-stop social media reactions. At the end of the day, this didn't feel like a meaningful conversation. It felt like political theater built for clicks and headlines. People weren't watching for solutions, they were watching for drama, for the next viral moment, for who would become the meme of the day. And honestly, that's become the formula for modern talk shows. Bring in strong personalities, spark conflict, let the internet explode, then cut to commercial before anything real gets solved. In the end, nobody truly won the debate. What viewers got wasn't a deep discussion, it was two different narratives colliding for content, because these days, going viral matters more than making a thoughtful point.